Hello and welcome to another episode of Technology Paul. Well, it is that time of year again. All the new phones are now out or about to be on pre-order for the holiday season. And so I know a lot of folks will be looking for a place to go and subscribe to potentially another contract or to buy a new phone. There's lots to consider when you're looking at different carriers here in Canada. There's really not a ton of competition. As you know, in Canada, there's probably, maybe 3 to 4 national type carriers, and then there's some sub carriers beyond that, but it's still good to take a look and see where you can get the best deal or the most value for your money. That's exactly what we're going to look at today, is a comparison of the current rate plans that are offered here as of October 2020. So let's take a look and let's jump right in. Now, before we do that, if you can, go ahead and click that like button for me. It definitely helps the channel a little bit there and the video. Okay, here we are. Let's take a look at the plans on some of the most popular carriers out there. This is not an exhaustive list by any means. There's a few carriers that I didn't get to. These are definitely the more popular ones that you can take a look at. I did look around on some other sites, and there's really no sort of different deal that you're going to miss out on here. So let's jump in here. I'm actually just going to go through and look at it on a alphabetical side of things here first. And we'll start with Bell. They really only have 2 plans at this time. They're both unlimited plans, and really all the carriers or most of the carriers are kind of offering some kind of unlimited option. Now they still have a data cap or a data amount that they provide to you at sort of full speed. And then if you go above that amount of data, your sort of internet speed slows down. Let's take a look at Bell here. You got unlimited 20, which is of course 20 gigabytes. And you've also got the price of $75. So 20 gigs for $75, not too bad actually. And that works out to be price per gig of $3.75. Now they've also got unlimited 30 for $85, which is just an extra 10 gigs. Your price per gig goes down slightly to $283. And that's really what Bell has on offer at the moment. Now moving over, I did take a look at Chatter as well. Now, this is probably not a great comparison because Chatter is actually 3G speeds. So if you take a look at this here, we've got some plans of 2 gigs, 4.5, 6, and 8 gigabytes. They are offering right now a 1 month's fee and credit on new activations. The pricing ranges from $35 to $50 a month there. You can kind of see they're throwing in some bonus data, 0.5 or 500 megabytes of bonus data if you go on their auto pay. So that is Chatter. It's also prepaid. It's a prepaid carrier, so just watch for that. And it's 3G speeds. You can definitely get a darn cheap phone plan with them, and so that's something that you can look at for sure, but just be aware of that speed limitation. Now moving over to Fido, which is also a discount carrier, but they are definitely on LTE. Fido has got a few different plans on offer here. Got 2 gigabytes, 4, 6, 8, and 10. The plans range from $45 all the way to $75. If you want to look at getting the most plan for your buck, you can get 10 gigabytes of data, and that is actually $7.50 per gigabyte. So the actual cost per gigabyte is pretty high, but it kind of caps out at around $75, just like a lot of the other plans out there. So it's fairly competitive in that sense. The cheaper plan they have is $45. That said, cost per gigabyte goes up a lot as soon as you get down to the lower levels there. But that may not matter so much if you just need 1 or 2 gigs. You're not doing a lot of heavy data usage, and so just having a cheaper plan but still being on LTE speeds might be beneficial to you. So check out that $45 plan with Fido. All right, moving on to Freedom. Freedom actually has the most plans of anyone, and there's a lot to work with here, okay? And there's a very wide range in plans here. I'll kind of get into it here with you there. You can see, I think the lowest one here is about $15, but they go up from there. So there's lots to kind of go through here. Freedom right now is offering quite a bit of data. Now, the key with Freedom is they have a very limited network, and it's really just limited to several major cities around Canada. Usually that's in BC, Alberta, and Ontario for the most part. If you live outside of those areas, you're not going to be in the home zone for Freedom. Therefore, it probably wouldn't be worth it for you. But they do cover a large chunk of the Canadian population, which is why I actually have them in here still. And if you leave the city, so the key here is if you leave the home network with Freedom, you end up onto what they're calling the nationwide network, which is really, they're just piggybacking off of another carrier. All of this data that I'm showing you does not apply to their actual nationwide network. It only applies to their home network. So for example, you can see here, the first plan on the list has 26 gigabytes of data. Now that does sound really good, but you got to keep in mind that's just in the home zone, right? And so there's a very good chance that this plan has 26 gigabytes in the home zone, but just 1 gigabyte in the nationwide zone. So typically, if you're someone who is constantly road tripping or traveling, or you got to travel on the highways a lot for work, for example, then you're constantly going to be in the nationwide network. And so moving to Freedom may not make sense for you if that's the case. However, if you're someone who, like myself, I really don't leave the city that often, maybe once every month for a quick day trip, and maybe once a quarter or so for an overnight type stay somewhere outside the city. For me and others, that might make more sense, but they have some pretty compelling plans right now as well. And the key is not to look at the plan name that they have here, because the plan name can be deceiving, because they've got all of these sort of bonuses and promotions and things like that on their website right now. So you got to look at the actual number of gigabytes that they offer in terms of data. They offer anywhere from, their lowest plan, 250 megabyte plan, which most people, that's just not going to work for. And so you can look at moving up in the world here in terms of gigabytes. You can have 500 megabytes, 1 gigabyte, and you can see that the promotions that are going on right now allow you to get up to, you got 2 gigabytes, you've got 11 gigabytes, 14, 18, 21, 26, 35, and so on. And so it goes up quite high, and they're all for a fairly reasonable price, again, in the home zone. That's important to keep in mind. But Freedom, very competitive for folks who don't leave the city. All right, moving on down. We're gonna go and check out Koodo Mobile. Now they've got plans starting at $45 a month for 2 gigabytes, which is cost per gigabyte of $22. Not so great, but again, $45 starting price kind of gets you in the door there. $50 for 4 gigs, $55 for 6 gigs, $60 for 8, and $75 for 10. Very similar to the Fido offering. Not too much there, although right now they are offering bill credits that you can get up to $120. So I don't really know what that means, but you want to check that out to see if you could get that bill credit. All right, moving over to Rogers. Rogers 20 for 20 gigs starts at $75. Rogers 30 for 30 gigs is $85. Rogers Infinite 50 for 50 gigs is $125, and Rogers 100 for 100 gigs is $175. Also happens to be their cheapest cost per gigabyte at $175 per gigabyte. The 100 plan is really phenomenal. I would say that's something where, your phone is your main computing device, and maybe you live in the country or something, you don't have the best options for internet around the house or whatever, maybe you're going to do this Rogers Infinite 100, or you're someone who just lives on the road, basically. That's really the only type of folks that I would recommend get that option, but definitely a low cost per gigabyte. So well done on Rogers' part to get that to where it is. All right, now let's move to Shaw Mobile. Now this is a new entrant, and really it's kind of the same company as Freedom. They're both just part of Shaw, but Shaw Mobile is the new offering from Shaw Communications, and it's kind of specifically, I think, geared to not really just sell mobile phone plans. I think it's actually meant to help sell their home internet package, and I'll kind of tell you why. So you can take a look at here. I only listed 2 plans that they really have, and it's called the Unlimited plan. Now there's 2 options for the Unlimited plan. One is $45 for 25 gigabytes. Not bad, right? That's quite good. If you ask me, it's $1.80 per gigabyte, but you can actually get even better. You can get a plan for $25 for 25 gigs, which is of course $1 per gigabyte. That's the lowest per gigabyte that you can get. The thing about that though is you got to be subscribed to Shaw Home Internet, and not just any plan with Shaw Home Internet. You got to be subscribed to their gigabit plan, which is in the range of $110 or $120 a month for that home internet plan. So you got to be on their top internet plan, but then you get a phone plan for just $25, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. So if you're someone who already has the top internet plan because you really want to have great internet at home, then you can get yourself a very cheap phone plan. But remember, it works exactly the same as Freedom, because again, they're really the same company. If you go outside the home zone, which is metropolitan areas, then you're going to be on their sort of roaming network, and you have much less data to work with there. I can tell you that on the Unlimited plan with Shaw Mobile, you get 2 gigabytes of data on the nationwide network. In the city, you get 25 gigs. Outside of the city, you get 2 gigs. The other thing is Freedom/Shaw Mobile do have a reputation for not having as great of speed as some of the other carriers, even within their home network when it comes to 4G LTE. It's still like within the range of others, and you can still get very good speed, but sort of that on average, on daily usage type thing, sometimes you run into the fact that it's just not as fast of a network as, let's say, a Bell or a TELUS. So you got to keep that in mind. All right, moving on to TELUS. They really have one plan that they're really pushing right now, which is called their Peace of Mind plan. And it's $75, 20 gigabytes at full speed. Again, you can go over 20 gigabytes. Your sort of network speed just slows down a little bit. And it's about $3.75 per gigabyte is what that works out to be. So that's TELUS's sort of offering right now. They're really just trying to encompass most people. Like 95% of people are going to fall into this plan, and they know that. And so that's why they put this one plan on their website right now. All right, Virgin Mobile. All right, check this out. It is starting at $45 for 2 gigs, $50 for 4, $55 for 6, $60 for 8, and $75 for 10. Basically all those discount carriers, Virgin, Koodo, and Fido really have the same type of offering right now. There's not a lot of differentiation going on. And that gets us to the end of the list here. So who is the winner in terms of monthly price? The lowest possible monthly price, well, let's check it out. It looks to be Freedom Mobile. Okay, Freedom Mobile at $15 gets you 250 megabytes of data. Not something I would recommend you do. You might be able to survive on 500 megabytes of data. That said, if you just pony up $5 more, you can go on to their $30 plan, which is kind of the next best thing. Now, if you're not in a Freedom Shaw network area, then you can check out Chatter for $35 for 2.5 gigs. But remember, that's 3G data. Okay, so to get to the first plan that's got LTE on a discounted plan rate outside of the Freedom Shaw network, you got to go to Fido here, and that gets you 2 gigs for $45. I would check that out at Fido, or again, Koodo or Virgin. They really have the same offering there. That's what you can get for the low end range there. Let's take a look at data. Data ranges all the way from 0.25 to 100 gigabytes per month. So again, lots to work with in the lower end range here, and it's all the discount carriers, of course, in that lower range there. Then as you kind of get towards the 20 gigabyte mark, you got everybody in there. You got Freedom, you got Bell, you got Rogers, you got TELUS, and you got Shaw Mobile as well. And then you can kind of go up from there, and then you go to the top end here, and you can see Rogers really just is trying to go and live at the top, right? They obviously see that there is a niche of people who want even more data than that, and so they have plans that can service those needs. All right, let's take a look at the cost per gigabyte. So I'm gonna start with the high end, okay? This plan that seems so cheap for $15, you gotta keep in mind that you're actually paying $60 per gigabyte as an effective rate, which is kind of crazy. But that's neither here nor there. It's only a 0.25 gigabyte plan. So let's take a look at the first one with a whole gigabyte or more is the Fido, Koodo, Virgin bunch, who are charging you $22.50 per gigabyte. Sure, the plan is cheap, but wow, $22.50 per gigabyte. You know they could give that to you cheaper if they wanted to. You know that it's a pretty healthy profit margin there. But let's go down here the list, and as you can see, it fairly soon gets into sub $10 range here with the Fido, Koodo, Virgin 6 gigabyte plans there, $9.17. Now look at this, right? You can see that they're just offering the exact same plans, and you know, all these big carriers are really doing that. So it's kind of unfortunate to see, but $9.17 per gigabyte. How low can we go? So let's find out. Let's go to the bottom of this list. Well, look at this. We actually can get down to $1.75, as I mentioned, for the Rogers Infinite 100 plan. It's 100 gigabytes, $175. So it's $1.75 per gigabyte. But who takes the cake? It's actually Shaw Mobile for $1 per gigabyte. Because if you have, again, you have to have their home internet plan, which is the top tier plan they offer, gigabit download speeds at home. That makes you eligible to get the 25 gigabyte phone plan for $25, which is crazy, but there's lots of caveats to that. All right, well, that is pretty much the review for today of the mobile phone plans out there. I tried to bring in as much as I possibly could. I'm curious if you saw something different from one of those carriers. Maybe you saw something different in a different region than I am, or maybe there's a carrier or like a regional carrier or even a sort of discount carrier that I might have missed in terms of something different or special that they offer. So I'm curious about that. Let me know in the comments, because the next time I take a look at this, I can take a look at any of your suggestions as well. The sort of sentiment that I have is among the national carriers, there's just not a lot of differentiation happening, right? They're really all offering the same things right now. It would be nice to see some differentiation and some competition. That's pretty much the review for today. Let me know if you have any suggestions, and we'll try and do this on a semi-regular basis for you as well. If you did enjoy the video, click that like button for me. And if you want to see more updates like this, just click that subscribe button. And thanks for watching Technology Paul.